my beautiful Misfits. 1:11 p.m. local time here. Cheers to that. Cheers to the universe. You're exactly where you need to be in case you weren't aware of that fact today. You're doing great. Mostly I'm telling that to myself. Like, good job, buddy. Good job. You're doing a good job. If it works for anybody else, welcome aboard. I want to have a little team meeting real quick and just talk about the podcast, etc. briefly. And then for the main course, I want to talk about staying in the moment, staying in the now. But first, let's talk about the podcast. For those of you that weren't aware, that haven't seen my videos, what I'm essentially doing is recording these videos on Instagram. And then I am screen recording them and putting them across multiple platforms. So if you're not watching me on Instagram, a Cult of Misfits, for those of you that aren't, I'm also putting these up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, just sort of covering all of my bases, putting it all the places. So that's the plan for now. So if you are more comfortable listening to it on Spotify, I got a little intro song over there for you guys that are interested in seeing that. And if you're listening to me on another platform other than Instagram, you can join me on Instagram. I do a lot of just additional content, live videos. I post on my stories every day for those of you that are interested in that sort of thing. Just funny memes and gorgeous photos from my afternoon walks. I couldn't sound more like an old man by saying I'm posting photos of my afternoon walks and maybe some birds, right? If that tickles your fancy, then please follow me on Instagram. You'll love it. What I'm trying to do with the podcast on Spotify, and the reason why I'm going on so many different platforms, is my entrepreneurial juices are really flowing. And the beast is starting to wake up again. And I'm ready to go into business mode here. So my goal right now is to get 100 followers on Spotify. So I've got all of these videos I put on Spotify. So I know that there's around, like 75 of you that are watching this thing on Instagram every week. And so I would love it if you could do me a solid. If you love what I'm doing here, if you're following my videos, it would mean a great deal to me. Head over to Spotify, a Cult of Misfits, and just hit follow if you like what I'm doing here, right? That would really help me out, because as soon as I hit that 100 followers mark, then Spotify will allow me to monetize. So that's the goal. Those of you that love me, those of you that enjoy the sound of my sweet, sweet voice, head over to Spotify, please, and do me a solid. Second item of business, guys, I took notes here. I'm actually checking my notes real quick. I feel real formal and professional today. we got an agenda. I've been doing this AI art. If you're not following my art on Instagram, it's a Cult of Misfits _AI. I've been playing with creating these AI images through Bing, because I hear that Bing is what all the cool guys are using nowadays. No, I'm not doing Midjourney. I haven't played around with Midjourney yet, for those of you that even know what that is. But just playing around with Bing. Just binging it for now. That's probably a verb, right? Just binging it and really having a good time. I'm just sort of playing around with what it's capable of and how to do certain inputs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can literally enter anything into this AI image generator. You can say, like, Santa Claus riding a unicycle, flying over the moon, and it will create 4 different versions of that by AI in about 2.7 seconds. So it's really amazing. And I've just been playing around with it using Darth Vader as my muse. Darth Vader is just hilarious in so many situations, like at a kid's birthday party, or Darth Vader being responsible for sinking the Titanic, standing on an iceberg. Like, just whatever my mind comes up with, I plug it into the AI and it generates these images to great hilarity. I think they're very funny and amusing. And so head over to my Instagram account and check those out if you're interested. But I've been trying to find a way to monetize that. As I said, my entrepreneurial juices are flowing here. And thinking how I can monetize that. And I'm realizing that there's not really a huge art market for these AI. The market's saturated is the reason why. Like, everybody who knows how to enter things on a keyboard and uses this program for free can create these images. And so they're not necessarily special. I suppose you could view them that way if you'd like, but they're all unique and they're all funny, and I love doing them, and I love looking at what the AI generates. But I'm trying to think of a way to monetize that. And so I'm going to tie it into a little promotion here. What I'm trying to do is I record these videos on Instagram and then just transfer them over to Spotify and YouTube, etc. I want to increase the audio quality because right now I'm just using either my AirPods or just the straight up iPhone microphone. And there's just a lot of plosives, a lot of annoying sounds. And so I'd love to upgrade my microphone to just to create a better listening experience for y'all. So if you'd like to help me out in that and would like to donate, since it's a cult, I suppose we can call it a tithe. But if you feel moved, I would love it if you could donate. And it's going to be going towards a microphone, going towards better equipment. And eventually my goal is to upgrade to a camera and to record these videos and put them in a higher quality and higher production value as a part of my Spotify podcast rather than just doing audio. So I'm just looking to slowly upgrade and do baby steps. And so for those of you that are following me that really get something out of these videos or enjoy hearing me talk and would love to support that, I would really enjoy your donations. So in exchange for your donation as a thank you, I would love to offer you one of my AI images that I've been creating. So you can head over to my Instagram account and screenshot one of your choice. If you donate, I will give you whichever one that you have, that you like, that you screenshot. Or if you'd like, I can create a custom one for you. You need to just give me a couple of prompts. I can't do any famous celebrities. Usually the AI doesn't let you do that. And I can't do anything with like your image. But if you want to just sort of be general, or maybe a character from a movie or something along those lines, or something more artistic and whimsical, whatever pops into your sweet little head, let me know, and I'd love to create a piece of art for you in exchange for a donation so we can upgrade this microphone and get this podcast up and rolling. So that's where I'm at on the business end. One more thing that I'm working on before we start talking about staying in the now. I feel really led to start telling my story, which I've essentially been doing for the last 5 years in one form or another, for those of you that have been following me for a while. But I feel like I've been on a bit of a hero's journey, and it's a bit of an origin story for me over the last several years, because I've metamorphosized into a completely new person, a new version of myself. And so I feel like I'd like to tell my origin story and how I came to be who I am today, this ever-evolving bud of divine consciousness, right? So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be talking about, I might just do that exclusively on Spotify as incentive, as bait on the lure to get you guys over onto my Spotify account so I can get those numbers up to 100, which is my goal. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be talking about not just how my spiritual journey started. Guys, it sounds riveting, but trust me, it is. But more importantly, the real meat and potatoes of my origin story is the last year and a half. And for those of you that know me personally, it's been real intense. A lot of trials and tribulations. And I'd like to dive in deep with and tell you about all of those and what's happened to me over the last year and a half. I've been documenting all of it per instructions from Spirit. I'm not a big journaler, but when I started going down this path that I'm on, the universe said, maybe you should take some notes and tell the story at the appropriate time. And here it is almost 2 years later, and I think it's the appropriate time. I'm getting the green light from the universe to start telling my origin story. So stay tuned for that. If those of you who are curious as to what's been happening to me over the last year, because I went off the grid for about 9 months and didn't make any videos, and I went into hermit mode, and got a lot to tell you. So now that we got that out of the way, I want to talk about just staying in the moment. I was on a walk today and thinking about that, and you hear it in a lot of spiritual groups, and the ancient wisdom always says to stay in the moment and stay in the now. But it's another thing to actually practice it, right? And actually do it in your life and make a habit of it, which is what I've been doing for the last several years, or attempting to anyways. And I found that when I do stay in the moment, that my life just gets easier. Things just go smoother. And that's what I want to talk about today. Because staying in the now, staying in the present moment, is not thinking about the future, and it's not dwelling upon the past. Because in a real way, not just a woo-woo spiritual way, but in a real way, the future doesn't exist. it's just a figment of your mind. It's just stories that you have in your head about how you think things should go or will be going or whatever. But the truth is, it's not here yet. So you're just making it up, right? And oftentimes we dwell on the past, right? Sometimes it's good, fun memories of things in the past. But if you're anything like me, like I used to be anyways, I would dwell on the past a lot, and it was very negative. It was a lot of victimhood, a lot of dwelling on what those people did to me, according to what? The story in my head, like, okay, cool story. That's just a perspective. And then the more I dwell on those negative things and what those people did to me, the way that I perceived it, right? How dare they? Then I just start getting that negativity and that bad juju, that bad vibe in my heart. And I don't like it. I don't like it because after a while that shit starts building up. And it had created a layer around my heart of just bitterness and anger and regret and just all these feelings that I didn't want to deal with, that I didn't want as a burden in my life anymore. They all served a purpose, but I was just letting them drain me rather than recognizing why they were there, addressing them, loving them, looking them in the eye, saying, hello, I see you. We're going to try to heal all this shit. That's what the journey in large part has been for me. It's just healing my heart. Let's take a minute to think about that. And so when I practice staying in the moment, in the now, I'm not dwelling on the past, and I'm also not thinking about the future. Because I often found that when I was thinking about the future, it was negative as well. And it was usually encrusted in fear. It was usually in the form of me worrying or fretting or stressing about some future event that isn't here yet. Right? How am I going to pay for those bills? Or how is this going to work out? Or how is that going to work out? Or just spending so much time, so much mental and spiritual energy dwelling on things that haven't even happened yet. And I believe that we are in a large part creators of our own reality, that our minds are so powerful and in a real way can create our world. Also in the sense, metaphorically, of how we view the world. Right? Because when we change our perspective, our world changes. Because for the longest time, I tried to change the world. Tried to plant seeds in people, whatever the F that means. That's a whole nother rant, by the way. Planting seeds, you're just trying to control people. That's all that is. For me, that's what I decided is that when I'm planting these seeds, I'm just trying to control people. So why am I doing that? And so I started practicing not thinking about the future. So much so that I stopped thinking about what I'm going to be having for lunch. I love food, guys. Big fan of food. And I spend a large part of my day thinking about what my next meal is going to be, right? There might be a little bit of drool coming out of the corner of my mouth. Don't judge me. I love food. I really tried to do my best not to think about the future at all, good, bad, or otherwise, because it doesn't exist yet. When I'm hungry and my stomach is growling, then I will think about food. Now it is eating time. And so that's how I trained and practiced. Because I found that when I'm in the now, not dwelling on the future or the past, and just living in this present moment, that's just what meditating is, right? Meditating can be intimidating if you don't meditate, if you don't know what meditating is, if you've never done it before. It's this weird, intimidating thing that gurus do and people who go to yoga do, and those weird people do, perhaps, right? That's how I used to view it. Like, okay, you're one of those people. Got it. Real cool. Show me your crystals. All right, cool. Whatever the fuck that means. But guys, I've seen the light now. Meditating for me is just staying in the moment. Just, listening to the sounds around you. Whether you're in nature and listening to the birds and the sound of a babbling brook or the sound of your neighbor's lawnmower, It doesn't matter. It's just being in that present moment and not judging that moment and just letting be whatever is in that moment. That's the practice. Whether it's something that's annoying you or otherwise, right? And the more that I stay in the present moment, the more I'm in the flow. You know, you hear all the hippies saying, dude, just stay in the flow, bro. The cosmic flow, the river of life. Go where the wind takes you. And it's like, yeah, hippie. I got a job to get to. I got kids. I got responsibilities. I got bills. You go with the flow. I'm going to be living over here in real life. But I believe that real life is whatever you say that it is. And the more that I go with the flow, the more that I don't dwell on the future or the past, and I just let be what is currently happening to me, I found that the river of life always takes me exactly where I need to be. Now, it's one thing to hear somebody say that. It's another thing to actually do it. I have to do things for myself. I have to say like, okay, yeah, go with the flow, cool. I have to try it for myself. And I want to see results. And I started seeing results. Prolonged happiness, prolonged joy. Because there's always going to be moments of anger, frustration, all of that stuff that we try to avoid. That's just a part of the game. So I'm just saying I've found by practicing these sorts of things that I'm having more joy in my life, more peace in my life, more satisfaction in my life. It's because of how I view life. I choose not to dwell on the negative things. I choose to stay in the present moment as often as I can, right? It's a practice. If you stop practicing it, you're just going to go back to your human nature again. That's all right. I don't beat myself up for it when I do, but it's like, oh, well, back to the spiritual gym again. Here we go. And so I'm finding that I have these goals in my life or things that I want in my life or things that I don't currently have in my life. And it's real easy to bitch and moan about all those things, right? I really dove deep on the word hope. And I started analyzing what hope means. And I don't live in a place of hope anymore. For me, that's a low vibration. For those of you that... It's a low vibration. Because what you're doing is you're hoping for something that is not currently here. What you're doing is not staying in the present moment. You're hoping for some future event or some future thing to happen to you or some future thing in your life that will make your life somehow magically better than what is currently happening right now. So I have eliminated hope from my life because it's a weak emotion from my perspective. It keeps me in a weakened state. It's disempowering to me to stay in a place of hope. Does that make sense? Boy, I hope this country gets back on the right track. Boy, I hope my life... Boy, I hope I get my life back together. That's not being satisfied with what the universe, what God, what divinity is giving you in the current moment. That's saying the current moment's fine and cool, but I just hope for something bigger. That's not living with a heart of gratitude, I've learned. And then when I switch it consciously, this is all consciously, I'm working at it. This is the game, this is the job. It's an inside job. I'm changing my perspective. I'm changing my lenses, one click at a time, just baby steps. Practicing all this shit. So anytime I'm in a situation that I don't like, don't want to be here, real uncomfortable, real hot in the collar. Hot in the collar, let's just go with it. Never used that phrase before. I feel like a 1920s gangster. Yeah, I'm real hot in the collar. Like I So I try not to live in hope. I try to live in a place of gratitude and just be happy for what I currently have, because what I currently have is exactly what I need in my life. I believe that we're always given exactly what we need. We can bitch and moan about it if we choose. Or we can say, you know what, it could be a lot worse, and I'm just really thankful that it's not. Right? It could always be worse. That's what I tell myself. And it's easy to live in a place of gratitude because, wow, it really could be worse. I am thankful for this roof over my head that I take advantage of. Or I take for granted, I mean. I'm really thankful for this phone that I'm holding in my hand. Right? I'm thankful I have this technology. I'm thankful for the peaceful rain today. Love it. Anywho. In the Marvel movies, they've been talking a lot about canon events in a timeline or a person's life. Canon events being just these things as a part of the story. For example, canon events for Batman is his parents get shot by the Joker, depending on the version you're looking at, right? His parents get shot and killed. He's raised by Alfred the butler. He discovers the Batcave underneath Wayne Manor. There's all of these things that sort of have to happen in these characters' lives. There's these tentpole events that just happen. Peter Parker always gets bitten by the spider. That's just a canon event. It's just something that when you're telling the story of Spider-Man, that's something that has to happen. Now, the in-between bits, Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed and him discovering the Batcave underneath Wayne Manor, there's a lot of in-between space there that you can play with creatively. Now, I believe that we might not have free will in the sense that we think that we do. And I think that these canon events are written in the stars at our birth. And that certain events must happen in our lives one way or another, and there is no evading it. I'm talking about births, I'm talking about deaths in the family, I'm talking about meeting your one true love, or meeting your spouse, or getting that dream job, or having that terrible accident, or whatever the case may be. I believe that there are these events that must happen in our lives for certain reasons that we probably won't comprehend until we're on the other side, right? Fully. And so I believe that I'm currently living in one of those canon events. For those of you that know what I'm going through right now, I'm currently living a canon event. And so I can choose to bitch and moan and whine about it and play victimhood about it. But I believe that this is part of my destiny. And I choose to accept it, as the Eastern philosophies say. I choose acceptance. I accept what is right now. And I accept that the pendulum will always swing and that a new season will always come. I have found that I have these things that I want in my life, these benchmarks, and then as soon as I hit them, when you reach that goal or that mountaintop, you're like, okay, well, I did it. You celebrate, and then you're like, well, now what? Right? I love listening to successful people who I think are successful in my eye. And they often will say that they reach that mountaintop, they reach that goal, that dream of theirs, and then, everything has been building up to that. And so it's sort of deflating in a way because it's like, well, where do I go from here? But for me, that's what it is. You hear all of the philosophies and the ancient wisdoms say that it's all about enjoying the journey and not the destination, but actually embodying that. Because we have these tentpole events, these canon events in our life, and they're great oftentimes, right? If you reach your goal or your dream comes true, for example. But really the growth is in the journey, right? And in the trials and the tribulations, in the frustrations, in the not knowing, in the chaos, right? This is where we become who we truly are. Where we discover who we truly are, what we're truly made of, and what we're truly capable of. And so I encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone and to embrace that journey. Embrace the challenges and the difficulties, because they often suck when you're going through it, right? But I've learned to find gratitude in that as well. Eventually. Often, not often, not always, definitely. Because upon reflection, I'm realizing that 99% of our time here on Earth is the journey, right? In between these canon events. And so perhaps that's where free will kicks in, is the river of life is going to bring you where you're supposed to go, who you're supposed to meet, and those in-between events are up to you. You can go left, you can go right. Maybe that's where the free will kicks in. It's just fun to think about. And so upon reflection on my own life, going through these challenges, trials, tribulations, journey, the more that I've learned to let go, not to try to control anything, control the outcome of my future, control the way things are going with this or that or the other, trying to control my emotions, trying to control just trying to control everything. And the more that I practice letting go, releasing that grip slowly, right? Often I have white knuckles. It's like, all right, buddy, relax, 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 relax. It's not as bad as you think it is. It's not as bad as the story in your head. Everything always works out. I say everything always works out casually because that's what I truly believe. So often in my life, I had to really think about it because I hear it always works out, and it's easy to be cynical about that. It's like, yeah, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about cancer? And what about, all these terrible things happening in the world? Everything works out for a divine purpose. And so if I can just learn to practice, to trust that process, trust the divine process, trust the flow of the river, because I believe there's a higher power that knows more than me, that can see the whole chessboard of life, right? I can only see this one square that I'm on. But I believe there's a higher version of me, or a higher aspect of me, or God, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, that is guiding me and leading me on this journey. And so I trust that guy, or girl, or interdimensional being. I trust that higher power. Because Matt Owens, the human, is often a complete dingus. He's often overrun with fear and worry and anxiety, and that doesn't get him anywhere. And so I'm having to train my Matt Owens avatar, this character that I'm currently embodying, train it to chill the fuck out. Train it to go with the fucking flow. Right? It's like training a dog. And eventually it just starts kicking in. I start worrying less because I'm not thinking about the future all the time. I'm less bitter because I'm not dwelling on the past all the time. I think that'll do it for today. So if you haven't checked out my podcast, please head over there. And if you dig what I'm doing over there, hit subscribe, hit follow, share it with a fellow spiritual misfit. I would greatly appreciate it. Try to get me up to 100 followers so I can monetize this bad boy. And thanks for following along. Love you. End transmission.